Conference will now be recorded.
Okay, I'd like to call the Site Plan Review Committee to order for Tuesday, May 3rd. Roll call, please.
Mary Podolsky.
Here.
Dennis Persick. Here. Dan Pampern.
Here.
Gary Paul.
Here.
Chris Atkinson.
Here.
Andy Krowski.
Here.
And Dale Quinn.
Here.
Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please remember our men and women throughout the world in uniform. I have no changes to the agenda. I need a motion to approve.
Motion. Second.
Motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 5, action on the site plan review minutes from the regular meeting of April 19th, 2022.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion and a second to approve those minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 6, review plans for the following locations. 6A, action regarding requested site plan review for the Heel, Parcel VA-228-14-K-77-B, 2973 Wabi Lane. Aaron.
All right, I'll just share the site plan up here for you. It's a relatively minor modification to, modification or reconstruction of the Heel parking lot. Right here, of course, is Allied. Here's the parking lot. Proposing to reconstruct a couple driveway aprons. The site plan does indicate this one at 41.5 feet. We have a maximum 40-foot wide driveway aprons right here, or in the village. So that, to talk about that with the engineer, and that will be reduced to 40-foot, consistent with village code. Other than that, it really is, like I said, pretty basic reconstruction and realignment of the parking lot. Staff did not have any conditions other than reduction of that opening to 40-foot, consistent with village code.
Aaron, everybody's aware of this, meaning the people involved in it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the requested site plan for the Heel, 2973 Wabi Lane. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. 6B, action regarding requested site plan review for up to 5 temporary welcome banners around Clark Hinkle Field, parcel VA-42. Aaron.
This is same request that came in last year for some temporary banners around Clark Hinkle Field, welcoming fans to Packers training camp coming up this summer and fall. Again, the request is similar to last year with 5 signs. The signs are to be put up no greater than 1 week prior to the start of training camp and to be taken down within 1 week of the end of training camp. Since they don't fit within our typical temporary signage, it does come to site plan review for official action.
There were no problems last year with any of it? No?
No, not at all.
So,
You got them down in time and.
okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a motion and a second to approve? Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. 6C, action regarding proposed pedestrian accommodations text amendment to section 17-2-200, site plan approval requirements. Aaron.
All right, let me just blow that up a little bit so people can see it if they'd like to. Gary thankfully let me know that I forgot to include the actual ordinance language in the packet. So there's a copy of it on your, by your dais there. As you can see, it is a relatively minor amendment in terms of length. It would be in addition to the site plan review requirements in terms of the site plan. And I'll read through it. It'd be in addition to 17-2-200 sub C, sub 1, sub R pedestrian accommodations. Sub R pedestrian accommodations, as defined in section 20-1-20 Ashwaubenon Municipal Code, shall be identified in site plans as applicable to facilitate safe passage for pedestrians and/or bicyclists among proposed buildings and to proposed buildings from public rights of way. And I did include a copy of the definition from the site plan review, or from the subdivision ordinance for your reference as well. This was a request that came forward from the Ashwaubenon Bike and Ped Committee. So I'm bringing that forward at their request to Site Plan Review Committee and Plan Commission tonight, and then Village Board at the end of the month.
Aaron, the only question I have for you, where else is this in our committees or any meetings of such?
So it'll be going to Plan Commission tonight.
No, I'm saying where, other than the site plan, is this?
So we do have the provision for pedestrian accommodations in the subdivision ordinance now for new subdivisions. That was amended by the Village Board. That was last fall,
Fall, early winter.
right?
So it's just a carryover from there to here.
Correct.
I have a question, Aaron. How, if they're submitting their plans, how do they know if it's applicable?
So when plans get submitted, there's usually a lot of discussion before it gets to Plan Commission, or to a Site Plan Review Committee with staff. We talk them through any questions that we have on the front end. So really want to make sure that when a project gets to the Site Plan Review Committee, it basically meets our requirements.
So you're telling me it goes to the pedestrian and bike
No.
committee first?
No, it does not. There is a representative Bike and Ped that sits on our internal staff review team, but I take care of all of the communication and back and forth with the developer. So I relay what's in the actual site plan review ordinance to the developer, make sure that nothing's missed to bring that forward then to site plan.
Do other municipalities have this?
There are other ones. Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, it's as far as requirements go, what it does is it gives the site plan review committee and staff the authority where if there's a situation where it makes sense to have that pedestrian accommodation to include it. We have had situations in the past where we've included some site plan review, or some pedestrian accommodations, but there's really no explicit language that authorizes the site plan review committee to require it. This would allow for that.
Doesn't this also have to coincide with our comp plan or a bike and ped plan also?
Right, yeah. So when a site plan will come in, I'll review the site, the village's bike and ped plan to see if there's any accommodations that should be identified on future plans for the area as well. So the bike and ped plan is certainly an important touchstone that we'll have to use going forward.
So Aaron, what would this do? Would this say somebody has a 5-foot walk or 6-foot walk, a 5-foot walk or a 6-foot walk up to their building from public right away, and we decide they need 10 because of the amount of pedestrian traffic they would have? I mean, is that what that does?
You certainly could as a site plan review committee. Now, again, whether that makes sense or not in that particular situation, I guess that is more of on a case-by-case basis. But there are situations where a wider pedestrian sidewalk or whatever it may be would make sense as opposed to a typical 5-foot or 6-foot. But that'd be something for a site plan review committee to evaluate and move forward.
Aaron, isn't that something that the architects would design when they know the amount of traffic?
That is typically the case, right? I mean,
I mean, common sense would say, if you're going to have a rush center or a convention center, you're going to have more space than you would at a normal residential area sidewalk.
you hope that's the case. If for some reason that's not included, this would give the site plan review committee the authorization to say, you know what, we understand you have a 5-foot sidewalk here, but reality based upon the activity that's going to be happening in this location, it should be a 8-foot sidewalk or something to that effect.
So let's just do an assumption here. Let's assume a site plan comes in that has the exact amount of green space that is required, and then we decide that they need more sidewalk.
So the side, that would be, this is a discretionary act.
Yeah.
The green space actually is a hard and fast requirement that you can't go below.
Correct.
So in that case, you know, the green space would hold sway. And that's something, again, that I'd be working with the developer on the front end, so that when it gets to site plan review committee, that would be addressed.
Does this hold true for the trails as far as like pedestrian use and bicycles? Is it bicycles with motorized bicycles on any of these?
Motorized bicycles, I believe, qualify as a vehicle. I don't see that motorized bicycles would come into play on this.
Well, hang tight here because all over our trails, there's motorized bicycles running up a storm all around Ashwaubenon. Then you got some of them high-profile scooters that are running, and they're going, see it in the pier on their trails. It's pretty bad when people walk, because I mean, they're going really, a lot of them, more and more every day. You pay more for a high-profile one, and they're going, and I don't think they should be on the trails or any of the development areas, because I'm pretty sure that that's not right. But we're allowing it right now all over everybody.
So I guess I'll follow up with Rex and Doug on that, and just going to see, and probably Chief. I'm not sure if that's a permitted use.
Just, yeah, and I can add some clarification for that. So those electronic or electric assisted devices, those are not allowed under code. They are not allowed under code to be operating on a sidewalk or trail, unless for ADA purposes, they are considered a accessibility device. So you might have a motorized wheelchair or something to that effect. So an individual that is not able to walk on their own or bicycle on their own, then it would qualify for that. But those bird scooters and things of that nature, those and the like, those are not permitted currently under our code. Doesn't mean that it doesn't happen, just means that additional enforcement would be necessary to prohibit it even more.
You know, I don't want to sound like a tattletale, but guess what? I've seen people at Dan's old station on Glory, because that's where my shop is, and 3 times in the last 2 weeks, I've almost seen people that are walking get wiped out by these things. And it's a true story, and I see them on the Pier Trail, because I'm at Bellmark and the Pier. There's so many of them. There's so many old Segways as well. I don't think those things.
You're knocking the segues.
Yeah, segways are definitely off ordinance, or not allowed under the ordinance as well.
When we adapted that ordinance, I remember we had our former chief here at that time, and it was brought up about electric bikes, and they said, fine, Gary, as long as it's on private property. So, Andy, you're right, there's a lot of them around. I see them running up and down, especially Holgram, more than Ashland Avenue, and I know one kid has got an electric bike. He makes cars look like they're standing still.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's well known that they're really overdoing it. Are we doing anything about it? I don't know if there's any citations or what. Am I against it? I don't know. Green Bay's got a Segway club. They come into Ashwaubenon here with their group of people. I've seen them. They're pretty much come in from the Lambeau area into the residential area up by Morse Avenue and that. And they're riding in groups.
Yeah, and I think that Segway group, if I'm not mistaken, Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong, if you're familiar with it, but I think that's run through maybe the chamber. And it's some kind of tour group, if you will, that operates either through the chamber or Discover Green Bay. Now, those electric assisted devices, they can operate in the roadways under the law. So if you see them operating in the road as either a bicyclist or a pedestrian for that matter, then they are allowed. It's just where they're operating on a sidewalk where that prohibition exists within our municipal code.
Stuff.
There you go. You can run your Segway on the road, but you can't run it
No,
on the
you can't
sidewalk.
run a Segway on a road. That's that's an electric motorized vehicle. That was in the ordinance when we created it.
Yeah, I'll have to verify whether a Segway is allowed to be in the road, but like an electronic or electric scooter, if you will, they are permitted within the roadway.
So then
Same
do
with
they
an
run
assisted
down the
bike.
bicycle marked lane then?
I'll need to verify that, but my assumption is that yes, they could.
I think we need a clarification on that because that's not the way I understood it when we adopted that ordinance.
And Jill, does that classify, they have to have a license in as well?
No, so there would not be a licensing provision within that. My understanding is, electronic assisted bicycle is going to operate the same as any bicycle in the roadway. If you're operating a scooter, That I'll need some clarification on if they're viewed as a bicycle and have to follow bicycle rules, or if they're viewed as a pedestrian. I guess I'm not sure of that, because the rules are applied differently whether you're a pedestrian or a bicyclist as it relates to rules of the road.
Aaron, is it safe to assume that as time goes on, we'll be revisiting this anyways because of the popularity of Bird and Lyft and all that stuff kind of coming into the area?
Yeah, I mean, I think things are changing.
Right, yeah, I almost feel like it's inevitable that at some point there will be areas for stuff like that within the village.
Yeah, we have been approached by them.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of working through a lot of questions.
Right.
I just want to kind of point out to the committee in the simplest form, this particular amendment creates kind of a may versus a shall condition. So the village may require sidewalk or a pedestrian accommodation as part of the site plan approval process. Currently, you do not have that provision within the code. So even if you wanted to require it as a condition of approval, you couldn't. This provision allows you to make that a possibility. So it's really kind of adds another tool to your toolbox in determining what the best development standard should be for the overall site development on a site plan.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the new site plan pedestrian accommodations addition. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, 6D, action regarding a conditional use permit request to exceed 60 feet maximum height. Parcel VA-54-1, 710 Mike McCarthy Way, Coachway Condominiums. Aaron.
All right, this is the first of a few steps for the approval process for the proposed Coachway condominiums, which you may have heard about in the news a few weeks ago. Engberg Anderson Architects has submitted a request under the village's code, which allows for the consideration of a conditional use permit to exceed the village's identified height districts. As you can see up on the screen, there are different zones. The gray, or kind of the general area, is 36 foot. The orange is kind of our medium area, is 60 foot. And the blue is 120 foot as far as maximum heights. Under the code, there is a provision that allows for the issuance of a conditional use permit above the listed maximum heights. In this instance, Engberg Anderson Architects, on behalf of Barsan Corporation as developer, is requesting a conditional use permit to a maximum of 140 feet for the development of the 12-story Coachway condominiums. A little hard to see, but I'll zoom in a little bit. In terms of the location, it's a little rough, but right here is Holmgren Way. Here is Mike McCarthy Way. This, of course, is the orange with the 60-foot max. Immediately to the east is the blue 120-foot max. So again, in terms of the height and the request, it's not, for instance, in the middle of the 60-foot area. It's right on the edge up against the 120-foot maximum. In terms of the project, this has received approval from the FAA in the airport. That just came through, I believe, last week. If you have any, actually a couple things that, one item I'd recommend as a staff condition is expiration of the CUP 48 months after issuance. Just in case the project for some reason would not happen, that any future project would have to come through for another conditional use permit for height. Again, just provide a proper review for anything future that may happen. 48 months, just anticipating probably a 24-month pre-sale period and another 24-month build period. That's where the 48 months came from. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, Mariana Arena from Engberg Anderson, Tim Willage from Engberg Anderson are on the video, and Philip Barson of Barson Corp. Is in the audience as well.
Aaron, I have a question. What's the original basis for the 60 versus the 120?
I'll be honest, it predates my time here at the village. I believe that was adopted back in 2007, I believe it was.
Yeah, I'm looking at the map, I'm trying to understand the logic.
Right, I guess if anyone has any ideas on that, let's get through deals.
I sat through every one of those meetings at the building height meetings. And the thought process was if you do a little lower, closer to the road, and then if you noticed it steps back to more height. This has caused me a little bit of angst. I have to say that. I've talked with Aaron about it. I think it's a little more important on the Oneida Street side with the fact that we've got so much residential in that area. I mean, I would never approve this height of a building on Oneida Street because of the residential. But, and the people, when they sat on that committee back in 2007, they were very adamant that they did not want these super tall buildings. That being said, down in that area, you don't have the residential like you do on Oneida Street or Ridge Road. So, yeah. Any other comments here from anybody
Yeah, I
else?
had just, and I don't recall, this was a while back, I think on zoning. The buildings that built in the Packers built, the condos and those offices had to go through FAA restrictions and things, but as I recall, they're higher than 60 feet in that area, correct?
Correct. Right?
70 feet, 78 feet, something like that?
Yes, yeah, they certainly are. The apartment building certainly is taller than 60 feet.
Right.
Okay. And I think that, as I recall, the intent was to go taller, but they were limited by the FAA, if I remember.
I can't speak to that.
I mean, there was discussion about.
Yeah, all the approvals that I'm aware of, they got what they were looking
Right,
for.
right.
Initially, the office was going to be 5 stories. They go 6 stories on
Right.
that.
Yep.
So Lambeau Field must be about 140 feet, eh?
Yeah.
150?
They had to get some special permission, Dan, with the lighting.
There's something with lighting, yeah, I remember that,
Yeah,
Mayor.
yeah, I know that, and the flake poles and all that. So, and then I was up there, or down here this afternoon looking at this, and it looks like where this building is probably about 40 feet below Lambeau Field at ground level.
Yeah, it certainly goes, the contours certainly increase.
So-
Yeah.
So this building would not be higher than Lambeau.
No, it certainly would not.
Yeah, I have to agree with what you're saying there, Dan. It is not as high as Lambeau, which is a good thing about it.
Correct.
And it's a shame, it's a beautiful project. The height does exceed our recommendations, but you know what? Ground is so damn expensive today, you gotta go up. You can't afford to go out.
And
So,
we're lacking residential.
there you go.
Condos.
We're looking for something like this, especially in the entertainment district. You know,
I would, actually, I would like to make a motion to approve the conditional use permit with the approval of the site plan for this project. That's my motion.
okay.
I'd second that.
I'll go along with that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Does everybody understand?
Do you have a question?
Yes.
What does that do to what they just requested to do?
That,
Bundles the two?
yes, it will be subject to this site plan,
Okay.
which again, Tim, your firm did a beautiful job designing.
Yeah, very nice. Aaron, any thought on site plan?
Thank you, guys.
Give you any indication when it would come in front of site plan?
I believe they're probably looking at I'll say next couple of months.
Well, according to the article, they're looking at a 80% sale before construction starts or some number like that.
I'll probably defer to Philip for any questions on that, if that'd be okay.
Okay.
Philip, would you come up and state your name and address for the record, please?
Yep, right here. Just, yep, speaking to the mic.
Name is Philip Barson. I actually live at the Bohemian Park right now, right across the street. Did you want me to answer his question about the,
Yeah, when,
I don't know, it's
Pre-sales.
something publicized. I mean, you're not going to tell us nothing that hasn't been out there.
yeah, so that's essentially where we're at right now. We're working with an investor to potentially go ahead regardless of the pre-sales. If that were to happen, I think we're going to be back here much sooner than possibly fall.
So you're saying pre-sale is good right now then?
It's a little slower than we anticipated, but I think it has to do with weather. It's not as sunny
Everything's
as
got
we,
to do with the weather around here.
you know what I mean? So I think moving forward, we're going to get a little bit more activity, probably throughout the summer.
Okay.
okay, any other comments? Does everybody understand my motion? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, number 7, department, whoop,
Staff conditions.
oh, I'm sorry, yes,
Should they be in there?
Yes.
the expiration, yes, with the expiration also. So the second is okay with that, correct? With the, okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, number 7, department reports.
Happy to report that we did offer the senior inspector for commercial plumbing to David Busco. He's out of the Valley. He is a master plumber, and he has accepted. His first day will be May 23rd. And then, so he'll have his commercial plumbing license or certification right away, and then he'll be working to get his additional UDC and commercial building credentials then throughout the next 12 to 18 months. But it'll be a nice addition to the village, and I think David's really excited to start working.
Is that why Katie's smiling?
Yes.
She's been busy. Okay, any items for next agenda?
Yes, there are. Offhand, I couldn't tell you what they are, though, but we do have some on the docket.
Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.